Commander June stood on the observation deck of the Confederation starship Endless Dawn, his eyes fixed on the swirling blue-green orb that slowly rotated beneath them. Earth, as the natives called it. After 6 months of covert study, the Confederation had finally deemed the planet worthy of closer inspection. Beautiful, isn't it? Officer Day appeared beside him, her slender frame silhouetted against the vast viewport. Yes, June admitted. Though beauty often hides danger. The Galactic Confederation had encountered over 300 intelligent species across the stars, but humans were different. Initial scans had classified them as a Level 3 civilization, capable of planetary travel but not yet able to reach neighboring star systems independently. Standard procedure was to observe, document, and eventually make contact when the species appeared ready. The Council is getting impatient, Day said, handing him a data tablet. They've moved up our timeline. They want first contact within 2 lunar cycles. June frowned. That's too soon. We haven't completed our cultural assessment. The mineral surveys came back. Earth has significant deposits of therium. The Council doesn't want to risk another power finding them first. June sighed. Politics always trumped prudence. Very well. But I want your observations completed first. Continue monitoring their communications and behavior patterns. Focus on their conflict resolution systems. Day nodded and left him alone with his thoughts. Something about these humans troubled him. Their technological development had followed an unusual trajectory, advancing weapons systems alongside medical care, building walls while simultaneously creating art about tearing them down. 2 days later, Day requested an urgent meeting. I've been analyzing their entertainment broadcasts, she explained as she activated the display in June's office. Look at this. The screen showed humans engaged in various scenarios, fictional stories they created for amusement. One showed humans fighting against an alien invasion. Another depicted them surviving after a planetary catastrophe. What am I seeing? June asked. Their imagination. Humans spend significant resources creating stories about threats they've never encountered. They rehearse survival scenarios against predators that don't exist. June tilted his head. Many species have fiction. Not like this, Day insisted. They don't just imagine threats, they prepare for them. They create stories about their own extinction, then devise methods to prevent it. They practice defiance. Before June could respond, Officer Ben entered with another report. Commander, we've detected unusual activity at their northern polar region. Military vessels from 2 nations are engaged in some kind of standoff. Show me, June ordered. The display changed to show several ocean vessels facing each other across an icy channel. Tension was evident even to alien observers. Will they attack each other? June asked. Day studied the scene. Unclear. Both sides possess weapons capable of destroying the other, yet they're just waiting. For 3 days, the Confederation ship monitored the human standoff. During that time, June noticed something remarkable. The humans communicated constantly, not just the opposing military forces, but their civilian leaders as well. They argued, threatened, negotiated, and eventually reached some agreement. The vessels slowly backed away. They chose not to fight, June observed. This time, Day said. Their historical records show millions dead in previous conflicts. They're capable of both extraordinary cooperation and unfathomable violence. The Confederation's advanced scout team landed in a remote area to collect biological samples and test the atmosphere. Their ship, designed to be invisible to human detection systems, touched down in a forest clearing. Scientist Munn stepped onto Earth's soil first, instruments ready. Atmosphere composition confirms our readings. Slightly higher oxygen levels than optimal, but within tolerance. The team worked methodically, collecting plant specimens and setting monitoring devices. Everything proceeded according to protocol until Hack, their security officer, froze. Movement, he whispered. 3 o'clock, approximately 100 meters. The team stilled. They were supposed to be undetectable, their ship's cloaking technology, their suits, even their tools were designed to be invisible to human sensors. A small human child emerged from the trees. Female, approximately 8 years old by their calculations. She stared directly at them. Impossible, Mun breathed. She can't see us. The child approached slowly, curiosity evident in her expression. She stopped a few meters away and waved. Hello, she called out in her language. Are you aliens? The teen looked at each other in shock. Their translators worked, they understood her perfectly, but she shouldn't be able to perceive them at all. Return to the ship, Hack ordered quietly. Slowly. As they backed away, the child followed, still talking. It's okay. I won't tell anyone. My parents don't believe me anyway when I see things. Back on the Endless Dawn, June reviewed the incident with mounting concern. How did she see us? He demanded. Mun shook his head. Unknown, Commander. Our technology should have been completely effective. Perhaps humans have perceptual abilities we haven't documented. Or perhaps, Day suggested, our understanding of their scientific capabilities is flawed. June paced the room. This complicates the contact timeline. If they can detect our presence despite our precautions. There's more, Day added. I've been monitoring their global information network. There's a subset of humans who firmly believe in extraterrestrial life. They watch the skies. They document unexplained phenomena. They're looking for us, Commander. Most species look outward eventually, June countered. Not like this. They've been searching since before they could reach their own moon. It's as if they're certain they're not alone. The command staff gathered later that day to plan the official first contact. The council had rejected June's request for a delay. We'll follow standard protocols, June decided. A small delegation will meet with a selected group of human leaders. We'll begin cultural exchange gradually. Officer Bin looked skeptical. After reviewing their political structures, I'm not sure which leaders we should approach. Their planetary governance is fragmented. Their most influential governing body is called the United Nations, Day suggested. It represents most of their territories, though its authority is limited. June nodded. Then we start there. Prepare diplomatic packages and translator upgrades. And double the security detail. As the meeting concluded, Day lingered behind. Something else? June asked. Just a feeling, Commander. These humans, I've studied thousands of hours of their communications, their art, their conflicts. They're unpredictable in ways I can't quantify. When they feel threatened, they become something else. We're coming in peace, June reminded her. So did the Mavan when they contacted the Thortsi? The Thortsi still destroyed their entire diplomatic fleet because of a misinterpreted gesture. June understood her concern. First contact was always delicate. We'll be careful. These humans may surprise us, but the Confederation has been making new friends among the stars for millennia. This is what we do. As the Endless Dawn moved into position above Earth, visible now to human detection systems, June couldn't shake a feeling of uncertainty. Something told him these humans would indeed surprise them, he just hoped it would be in ways they could survive. The Grand Hall of the United Nations had been transformed overnight. Special lighting illuminated the normally austere chamber. Security personnel, both human and alien, lined the walls. Outside, crowds gathered behind barriers, straining for a glimpse of the visitors from beyond their world. Commander June adjusted his ceremonial sash as he watched the human dignitaries file in. Though the Confederation had revealed itself to Earth's leaders 2 weeks prior, this marked the first public meeting between the species. Nervous? Day asked, standing at his side. Cautious, June replied. The council rushed this process. Normally we'd spend years studying a species before formal introduction. Officer Bin approached with a data tablet. Final security checks complete. The Tejo delegation has arrived as well. June frowned. The Tejo were valuable Confederation members, their expertise in mineral extraction was unmatched, but their presence complicated matters. Known for rigid cultural protocols and quick offense, they weren't ideal for first contact scenarios. "Remind our team," June said quietly. "No physical contact with the Tejo. No direct eye contact for more than 3 seconds. And absolutely no exposed teeth when speaking to them." The human Secretary General rose to the podium. "Distinguished delegates, today marks the most profound moment in human history. We welcome representatives from the Galactic Confederation to Earth." Applause erupted as June led his delegation down the central aisle. He maintained a solemn expression, aware that billions across Earth watched through various media. After completing the formal introduction protocols, June moved among the human representatives, answering questions about Confederation worlds. The humans were remarkably calm considering the circumstances. Their species had just learned they weren't alone in the universe. Ambassador Han, the linguistic specialist, handled most conversations while June observed. The humans laughed more than expected. They touched each other frequently during conversation, a behavior that would horrify many Confederation species. Across the room, the Tejo delegation remained isolated, speaking only with each other. Their leader, Delegate Q, watched the proceedings with obvious disdain. "The humans are too emotional," Q remarked when June approached. "Their speech patterns lack proper structure. Their movements are chaotic. They're excited," June explained. "This is significant for them." Q made a dismissive gesture with his upper limbs. "The Council overestimates their potential. They would be useful only for their planet's resources." June felt a flash of concern. The Tejo had a history of viewing less advanced species as little more than tools. "Remember, Earth has provisional protection status now. Standard Confederation protocols apply." Before Q could respond, a human diplomat approached them. June recognized him as Dr. Park, a respected physicist who had asked particularly insightful questions during the briefing session. "Commander June," Dr. Park said warmly. "I was hoping to continue our discussion about your propulsion systems." June bowed slightly. "Of course. May I introduce Delegate Q of the Tejo Consortium?" Dr. Park turned to Q with a broad smile. "An honor to meet you, Delegate. Your species' accomplishments in molecular engineering are remarkable." Q stiffened visibly. Among the Tejo, displaying teeth was a direct challenge akin to drawing a weapon. Worse still, Dr. Park extended his hand for a handshake, his fingers splayed in what the Tejo considered an offensive gesture. "You dare?" Q hissed, his skin flushing the deep orange of Tejo rage. Dr. Park's smile faltered. "I'm sorry, have I?" June stepped between them. "A cultural misunderstanding. Dr. Park, among the Tejo, your gesture could be considered confrontational." "I had no idea," Dr. Park said, quickly lowering his hand. "Please convey my sincere apologies." But Q had already turned away, barking orders to his delegation in their clicking language. The Tejo representatives moved as one toward the exit. "Commander," Day said urgently, appearing at June's side. "The Tejo are sending communications to their ships in orbit." June felt a cold dread settle in his stomach. "Find Ambassador Han. We need to contain this now." The incident quickly escalated beyond the hall. News of the alien walkout spread across human media networks, generating speculation and fear. Despite the Confederation team's efforts to explain the cultural miscommunication, damage had been done. Hours later, June faced the emergency session of human representatives with growing concern. "The Tejo ships have changed position," he explained carefully. "They've moved to a high orbit above your lunar settlement." "Are they planning to attack?" the Secretary General asked, her voice steady despite the circumstances. "Not attack," June clarified. The Tejo referred to it as a demonstration of consequence. They believe humans deliberately insulted them and wish to show their technological superiority. The room erupted in outrage. Military advisors huddled together, whispering urgently. Political leaders demanded immediate action. "This is outrageous," the American representative shouted. "One misunderstood gesture and they threaten our people?" June raised his hands for calm. "The Confederation is negotiating with the Tejo. They've agreed not to harm any humans, merely to display their capabilities." "By threatening our moon base?" The Chinese delegate stood now. "Over 200 scientists and engineers live there." Ambassador Han stepped forward. "We've requested evacuation time for your personnel. The Tejo have granted 12 of your hours." The meeting dissolved into chaos as humans argued about evacuation logistics, defense options, and diplomatic responses. June watched them with new understanding. When threatened, they didn't cower, they unified. Representatives who had been coldly formal with each other now worked together seamlessly. Later, in the privacy of their temporary embassy, June's team assessed the situation. "The lunar evacuation is only 40% complete," Officer Bin reported. "Many scientists are refusing to leave their research." Day shook her head. "They don't understand the Tejo. When they say demonstration, they mean destruction." "Have they responded to the Council's communication?" June asked. "No," Han replied. "They've invoked the right of cultural redress. By Confederation law, they're permitted to defend their honor through proportional response." June paced the room. "There's nothing proportional about destroying a research base over a misunderstood greeting." "Technically," Bin noted, "they're only planning to destroy unoccupied structures." "If the evacuation completes." "It won't complete," Day interrupted. "I've been monitoring human communications. They're sending military vessels to the moon. They're planning to defend their base." The words hung in the air. Human military technology was centuries behind the Tejo. Their ships would be destroyed instantly. "Show me," June demanded. The display activated, showing Earth vessels breaking orbit, heading toward the moon. They moved with purpose, maintaining tight formation despite their primitive propulsion systems. "They must know they can't win," Han whispered. "They do," Day confirmed. "I intercepted their communications. One human commander told his crew, 'We may not survive this, but we will show these aliens that humans don't abandon their people.'" June stared at the small fleet of human ships, feeling an unexpected admiration. They knew they faced a technologically superior enemy. They understood the odds. Yet they went anyway. "Contact the Council," June ordered. "Request emergency intervention. And get me a direct channel to the human military leaders." As his team scrambled to act, June watched the human vessels continue their doomed journey. In that moment, he understood what Day had been trying to tell him. These humans didn't calculate odds the way other species did. They didn't surrender when logic dictated they should. And that made them more dangerous than the Confederation had ever imagined. The Confederation observation vessel Subtle Witness maintained a position 10,000 kilometers from Earth's moon, close enough to monitor events but far enough to avoid any conflict. Commander June stood rigid on the bridge, watching the tactical display with growing concern. "The Tejo battle group has established orbital position," Officer Bin reported, her voice carefully neutral despite the tension. 5 destroyers, 3 support vessels." "And the humans?" June asked. 6 vessels approaching lunar orbit. Primitive chemical propulsion. Minimal defensive capabilities. Day stepped closer to June, speaking quietly. "Commander, I've analyzed the human ships. They're not military vessels. They've repurposed civilian craft, science vessels, transport shuttles. They've mounted weapons, but they're clearly improvised." June felt a heaviness in his chest. The humans weren't just outmatched, they were sending whatever they could into battle, knowing it wasn't enough. "The Tejo have opened communications with the human fleet," Ben announced. "Put it through," June ordered. The voice of Delegate Q filled the bridge. "Human vessels, this is the Tejo Consortium. Your presence is unwelcome. We have exercised our right of cultural redress under Confederation law. Withdraw immediately or face elimination." After a brief silence, a human voice responded. This is Colonel Song of the United Earth Defense Force. We are here to protect our citizens and installations. We request peaceful resolution to this misunderstanding. Q's laugh was harsh and clicking. Misunderstanding? Your representative displayed aggressive gestures to my person. The consequence must be demonstrated. Your lunar base will be destroyed as a lesson in proper interspecies etiquette. The base houses civilians, scientists, engineers. They've done nothing wrong, Colonel Song replied. Then evacuate them. You have 1 hour remaining. The communication ended. June turned to day. Status of the lunar evacuation? 58% complete. But Commander, the evacuation ships are already at capacity. They cannot remove everyone in the time remaining. June closed his eyes briefly. The Confederation Council had been clear they would not intervene in a properly invoked cultural redress. The ancient laws that held their interstellar alliance together permitted the Tejo this action, regardless of how disproportionate it seemed. Sir, Ben said suddenly, the human vessels are changing formation. They're positioning themselves directly between the Tejo fleet and the lunar base. On the tactical display, the 6 small human ships formed a protective line, a futile barrier against the vastly superior Tejo force. They know they can't win, Mun whispered from his science station. What are they doing? They're buying time, Day replied. For the evacuation. As they watched, the Tejo destroyers moved forward. The lead vessel fired a warning shot, a low-power energy pulse that passed between the human ships. Colonel Song's voice came through again. Tejo fleet, we will not move. Our people need more time to evacuate. We propose a solution: limit your demonstration to our vessels. We will remain and accept the consequences of our cultural error. Silence followed. June's crew exchanged glances. The humans were offering themselves as sacrifice. An interesting proposal, Q finally responded. But insufficient. Your lunar base represents your presence in space. Its destruction will properly convey the message to your species. Then you'll have to go through us, Colonel Song answered simply. What followed defied all Confederation tactical projections. The Tejo launched their attack, precision energy weapons designed to disable the human ships without completely destroying them. It should have ended the confrontation in seconds. Instead, the human vessels scattered in a complex pattern, each taking evasive action that seemed random but somehow coordinated. 2 ships were hit immediately, their engines failing, but the others continued their chaotic movement. How are they doing that? Ben asked in amazement. Our simulations showed they would be disabled with the first volley. Day leaned closer to her console. They're using the moon's gravity wells in ways the Tejo targeting systems don't anticipate. It's ingenious. The disabled human ships weren't idle. Even as they drifted, they launched projectiles, primitive missiles that the Tejo easily destroyed. Pointless, Mun remarked. No, Day countered. Look at the debris patterns. The destroyed missiles had created a cloud of fragments in specific orbital paths, forcing the Tejo vessels to adjust their positions. The battle continued for 20 minutes, far longer than should have been possible. One by one, the human ships were disabled, but each fought until its systems failed completely. The final vessel, Colonel Song's command ship, executed a maneuver that brought it directly alongside a Tejo destroyer. At such close range, the destroyer couldn't fire without risking damage from debris. Remarkable tactics, June murmured. Commander, Ben called out, I'm detecting unusual activity from the lunar surface. The tactical display shifted to show the human base. During the space battle, the humans on the moon had not been idle. They had positioned mining equipment, massive drills and excavators, to face upward. They've converted their industrial equipment into weapons, Day explained, her voice reflecting her astonishment. They're using mining lasers, reconfigured to. Her words were cut off as the lunar surface erupted with energy beams. The improvised weapons fired at the nearest Tejo vessel, not powerful enough to penetrate its shields, but surprising enough to cause the ship to pull back. The evacuation status? June demanded. 72% complete, Bin replied. The remaining personnel are using the distraction to board the last shuttles. The Tahoe recovered quickly from their surprise. 3 destroyers moved into position above the lunar base, weapons charged for the final strike. Tahoe command vessel is broadcasting, Bin reported. Q's voice filled the bridge again. Your resistance is noted, humans. You fight well for primitives. But the demonstration must proceed. No human response came. Instead, the lunar surface suddenly registered a massive energy surge. What is that? June asked sharply. Day's fingers flew across her console. They've overloaded their base's power core. They're going to. A blinding flash erupted from the lunar base. The humans had triggered a controlled detonation of their own facility. The explosion wasn't large enough to threaten the Tahoe ships, but it effectively destroyed what they had come to target. They destroyed their own base, Mun said in disbelief. Why would they? To deny the Tahoe their demonstration, June realized. They chose to sacrifice their own achievement rather than allow it to be used as a symbol of their defeat. The tactical display updated with new information. The final evacuation shuttles were clear of the destruction, carrying the remaining personnel away from the moon. Hours later, June submitted his report to the Confederation Council. He chose his words carefully, knowing they would shape the Confederation's relationship with humanity for generations to come. The Battle of Luna cannot be understood through conventional tactical analysis, he wrote. The humans employed strategies no simulation predicted. They converted civilian equipment to military use with remarkable speed. They utilized their environment in ways our most advanced species would not consider. Most significantly, they demonstrated a willingness to sacrifice themselves to protect others. He paused, considering his next words. When faced with certain defeat, most species calculate their losses and surrender. Humans calculate what their resistance might gain, even in defeat. They do not fight only to win, they fight for how they lose. This makes them unpredictable in ways our military doctrine cannot account for. June finished his report with a clear recommendation: the Tahoe have technically fulfilled their right of cultural redress, as the lunar base has been destroyed. However, I strongly advise against any further military action against humans. They have demonstrated capabilities beyond their technological level. More importantly, they have shown that technological superiority alone does not guarantee victory against them. As the subtle witness prepared to return to Confederation space, June took a final look at the blue-green planet and its scarred moon. The humans had lost their first interstellar battle, but somehow, they didn't feel defeated. Something told him the Confederation hadn't seen the last surprise from this remarkable species. 90 days after the Battle of Luna, Commander June sat in his office aboard the diplomatic vessel Peaceful Dialogue, reviewing the latest intelligence reports. What he read defied all Confederation predictions. This can't be accurate, he muttered. Officer Day entered after a brief knock. The human representative has arrived for the scheduled meeting. Have you seen these reports? June asked, gesturing to his display. Day nodded grimly. I verified them myself. The humans have already restored partial function to their lunar base. And the technological adaptations. Impossible, June said. No species could reverse engineer Tahoe shield technology this quickly. The humans did not just reverse engineer it, Day corrected. They improved it. The door opened again, and Officer Bin escorted in the human representative. Dr. Park, the same physicist whose innocent gesture had triggered the conflict, now wore a military uniform with new insignia. Commander June, Dr. Park said with a polite bow but no smile. The humans had quickly learned Tahoe cultural protocols. Dr. Park. Though I see it's now General Park. The human nodded. Things change quickly in wartime. The Confederation does not consider this a war, June said carefully. The Tahoe exercised their legal right of cultural redress. That matter is now concluded. Park's expression remained neutral. 53 humans died during the evacuation. Over 200 years of scientific research was destroyed. From our perspective, this was an unprovoked attack following a cultural misunderstanding. June gestured to a chair. Please, sit. We have much to discuss. As Park sat, Day activated a holographic display showing Earth and its surrounding space. Dozens of small objects now orbited the planet, new satellites and defensive platforms that hadn't existed 3 months ago. Your species has been busy, June observed. We adapt, Park replied simply. My analysts tell me you've incorporated Tahoe shield technology into your defensive systems. Technology you could not possibly understand yet. Park smiled slightly. Commander, humans have a long history of learning from conflict. When we encounter superior technology, we don't just copy it, we obsess over it. June leaned forward. The Confederation Council has reviewed my report on the Luna incident. They've ruled that the Tahoe demonstration was legally executed but ethically questionable. They've ordered the Tahoe to withdraw from Earth space. And if they refuse? Park asked. They won't. Despite appearances, the Confederation enforces its rulings. Park nodded but seemed unconvinced. We appreciate the gesture, but Earth has decided to take responsibility for its own security. We're unified now in ways we never were before. The display shifted to show images of human cities. Where once nations had been divided by borders and conflicts, June saw new cooperation, shared defense systems, joint scientific facilities. The alien threat, as many humans call it, has united our planet, Park explained. Old enemies now work together. Resources previously used for fighting each other have been redirected to space defense and exploration. June studied the human carefully. You're telling me that the Tahoe attack, rather than intimidating humanity, has accelerated your development. Precisely, Park confirmed. Humans have always advanced fastest when facing challenges. Your arrival showed us we're not alone. The Tahoe showed us not all aliens come in peace. Over the next hour, Park outlined Earth's new unified defense strategy. June listened with growing concern. The humans weren't just rebuilding, they were preparing for war on a scale that suggested they expected more conflict. There's something else you should see, Park said finally. With your permission, I'd like to show you our new shipyard. The display changed again, showing a massive structure in Earth orbit. Construction drones swarmed around a vessel unlike any previous human design. This is the Phoenix, Park said. Our first true interstellar warship. June couldn't hide his surprise. This level of advancement should have taken decades. As I said, we adapt. Particularly when motivated. The implications were clear. Humanity wasn't waiting for Confederation protection, they were arming themselves with remarkable speed. Later, after Park had departed, June met with his senior staff. The Council needs to understand what's happening here, he told them. The human response isn't what anyone predicted. Officer Munn looked troubled. Their technological progression is following an exponential curve. If it continues, they'll reach Tahoe levels within 5 years, not the 50 we projected. It's not just their technology, Day added. Their social organization has completely transformed. Nations that have fought for centuries now work together seamlessly. Like a hive mind? Bin asked. No, Day said. Something more complex. They maintain individual identity and creativity while acting with unified purpose. It's a combination we haven't seen in other species. 3 days later, the Confederation received alarming news. A Tahoe mining vessel had disappeared near Saturn's rings. Initial reports suggested mechanical failure, but when the search team arrived, they found evidence of weapons fire. The humans denied involvement. Their vessels, they claimed, couldn't yet reach Saturn's orbit with weapon capabilities. The Confederation investigation proved inconclusive, but the Tahoe were convinced humans were responsible. Delegate Q demanded another meeting with June. The primitives attacked our vessel, Q insisted, his skin flushed orange with anger. They must be punished. There's no proof, June countered. And the Council has ordered you to avoid conflict with Earth. The Council is not here, Q hissed. These humans learn too quickly. They don't show proper deference. If they continue at this pace, they'll threaten Tejo interests within a decade. June stood his ground. The Confederation's decision is final. No further action against Earth is permitted. After Q departed, June received an urgent message from his intelligence network. Human communication channels were buzzing with news of a breakthrough. They had successfully tested a capture device technology that could disable a ship's propulsion system without destroying the vessel. The implications were clear. If humans had developed such technology, they could indeed have disabled the Tejo mining ship. June decided to confront General Park directly. They met in the neutral space of the Peaceful Dialogues conference room. Did Earth forces attack the Tejo vessel? June asked without preamble. Park's expression revealed nothing. Commander, humanity is focused on defense, not aggression. That doesn't answer my question. Let me ask you something instead, Park said. If the Tejo had killed everyone at our lunar base, not just those who couldn't evacuate in time, what would the Confederation have done? The Council would have discussed it, Park interrupted. Would have debated the appropriate response. Would have eventually issued a formal reprimand, perhaps economic sanctions. June couldn't deny the truth of this assessment. Humans don't operate that way, Park continued. We believe there must be real consequences for aggression. We believe that predators only stop when they learn their prey can hurt them back. The general stood, adjusting his uniform. I won't confirm or deny anything about the Saturn incident. But I will tell you this, Earth now has one simple policy regarding alien species. We offer friendship freely, but we will respond to any threat with absolute commitment. After Park left, June stood at the viewport, watching Earth rotate below. The beautiful blue-green world now looked different to him, not just a developing planet but potentially a formidable power. That evening, he began writing a new report for the Confederation Council. He titled it simply, Why We Should Never Fight the Humans. In it, he detailed not just their surprising technological adaptability but something more fundamental, their unique psychological response to threat. When humans feel endangered, he wrote, they don't become cautious. They become bold. They don't hide. They prepare. And most dangerously of all, they remember. The Grand Chamber of the Confederation Council fell silent as Commander June completed his presentation. 500 representatives from across the galaxy had gathered for this special session, the curved walls of the ancient hall witnessing a moment that would change interstellar policy forever. So you are suggesting, Counselor Sull said, breaking the silence, that we should formally classify humans as a protected species? No, June replied firmly. I am suggesting we classify them as a dangerous one. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. On the main display behind June, images of Earth's rapidly advancing technology scrolled past, their new ships, weapons systems, and most concerning of all, their reverse-engineered and improved versions of Confederation technology. 2 standard years, June continued. That's how long it took them to build a fleet that can now defend their entire solar system. Not from primitive threats, from us. Officer Day stepped forward, adding her analysis. The humans have exhibited technological advancement rates never before documented in any species. They've compressed what should be centuries of development into months. Because of the Tejo incident, asked a representative from the Marin cluster. Partially, Day confirmed. But our research suggests this response is fundamental to human psychology. They don't just learn from threats, they transform because of them. At the back of the chamber, Delegate Q of the Tejo shifted uncomfortably. His consortium had lost significant standing after the Battle of Luna and the mysterious Saturn incident. 3 more Tejo vessels had vanished in the past year, though no direct evidence linked these disappearances to human action. The Tejo demand protection, Q called out. These humans target our legitimate operations. Your legitimate operations in their solar system, June corrected. A system you were ordered to avoid. The Council Arbiter raised a hand for silence. Commander June, your report contains a specific policy recommendation. Please elaborate. June nodded and touched his control panel. The display changed to show a simple protocol document. Engagement Protocol H1, he read aloud. In case of conflict with humans, immediate de-escalation is required. Military action against human territories is prohibited without full council approval. This is unprecedented, protested a representative from the Orion systems. We don't have special protocols for specific species. We've never encountered a species like humans before, they countered. Their response to the Tejo conflict demonstrates a unique quality. Proportional response is not in their nature. The debate continued for hours. June watched as the council struggled with the implications of his recommendation. Creating a special protocol for one species violated centuries of Confederation principles of equal treatment. Finally, the arbiter called for testimony from the human representative. General Park entered the chamber, walking with calm confidence despite being surrounded by hundreds of alien species. This was the first time a human had addressed the full council. General Park, the arbiter began, the council is considering a special protocol regarding future interactions with Earth. Do you have any statement to offer? Park looked around the chamber slowly before speaking. My species is young compared to yours. We've only recently discovered we're not alone in the universe. That discovery should have been a moment of wonder and friendship. He paused, his eyes finding Delegate Q. Instead, our first real interaction with an alien species was an attack. 53 of our people died because of a misunderstood smile and handshake. The cultural redress was legal, Q insisted. Legal, yes. Wise? No. Park turned back to the council. Humans have a saying, the burnt hand teaches best. We have learned our lesson about the galaxy. We now know that technological superiority doesn't always come with wisdom or restraint. Are you threatening this council? The arbiter asked. Not at all, Park replied. I'm offering perspective. Humans don't want conflict. But we prepare for it obsessively when threatened. It's in our nature, a trait that kept us alive through our evolution. He activated his own data device, and the display changed to show Earth's history, countless conflicts, but also remarkable recoveries, innovations born from necessity, cooperation emerging from crisis. When we face extinction, we exceed our limitations, Park explained. During our most desperate wars, our technology advanced more quickly than during times of peace. When disasters struck, competing nations set aside ancient hatreds to help each other. And now? June asked. Now we're united as never before. The Tejo didn't defeat us at Luna, they awakened us. Every human child now looks to the stars knowing both wonder and wariness. The council deliberated for 2 more days before reaching their decision. June stood with Day and watched as the votes were tallied. It will pass, Day predicted quietly. But will it matter? June wondered. The humans don't seem inclined to trust Confederation protection. Perhaps this isn't about protecting humans, Day suggested. Perhaps it's about protecting everyone else. The final vote confirmed June's recommendation. Protocol H1 was adopted and would be distributed throughout Confederation space. Additionally, humanity would be offered full alliance status rather than the standard century-long probationary period usual for new species. General Park received the news with polite acknowledgement rather than celebration. Earth appreciates this gesture of respect, he told June afterward. But understand that we will continue building our defenses. As is your right, June agreed. Though I hope you'll build bridges as well. Park's expression softened slightly. That was always our preference, Commander. Before Luna, most humans imagined meeting aliens as a moment of shared discovery, not conflict. That possibility still exists, June assured him. 5 years later, Officer Day, now Professor Day, stood before a class of diplomatic cadets at the Confederation Academy. The curriculum had changed significantly since the human situation began. An entire semester now focused on what scholars called the human question. Today we examine the psychological profile of Earth species, Day began. Specifically, why Protocol H1 exists and how it shapes our interstellar diplomacy. A young cadet raised her hand. Professor, is it true humans have already matched Tejo technology levels? The reports seem impossible. The reports are accurate, Day confirmed. In fact, in some areas, they've surpassed Tejo capabilities. But how? Another cadet asked. No species develops that quickly. Day activated the classroom display, showing footage from the Battle of Luna alongside more recent images of Earth's impressive fleet. Humans possess 4 unique traits that, in combination, make them unlike any species we've encountered, she explained. First, they adapt with unprecedented speed when threatened. Second, they unify despite internal differences when facing external danger. Third, they maintain individual creativity while acting collectively, generating solutions no single mind would devise. And the fourth trait, a cadet prompted when Day paused. The fourth trait is perhaps most important, Day said gravely. Humans fight hardest when victory seems least likely. They reject surrender even when all logical analysis indicates it's their only option. As she continued her lecture, a diplomatic alert flashed on her private channel. The Tejo Consortium, still smarting from their loss of status, had rejected Confederation mediation in their territorial dispute with the Marin systems. They had declared their intention to act independently. Simultaneously, a notice appeared announcing that an Earth diplomatic delegation had offered to assist with negotiations. Human mediators were en route to the disputed region. Day smiled slightly. The galaxy was changing. The humans, having prepared for war with remarkable effectiveness, were now applying that same intensity to peacemaking. They approached diplomacy with the same fervor they had shown in developing defenses, thoroughly, creatively, and with unwavering commitment. At the end of her lecture, a final question came from a quiet cadet at the back of the room. Professor, the protocol is called "Why We Never Fight the Humans." But what if they decide to fight us? What protection do we have? Day considered the question carefully before answering. The best protection is understanding. Humans don't desire conflict, they prepare for it because their history taught them its cost. They value loyalty, keep their promises, and remember both kindness and cruelty with extraordinary clarity. She closed her presentation with an image of Earth, the beautiful blue-green planet that had changed the Confederation's understanding of emerging species forever. Remember this above all, humans make wonderful friends and terrible enemies. When asked why we never fight humans, the answer is simple, because those who did learned exactly why they shouldn't have.